Awesome, awesome. Well, we might launch off because we know we've got a short time frame this afternoon, and we're really keen to make sure that we make good use of the time and we leave enough space for questions from the floor. Firstly, thank you so much for making the time to come along today. That's really great. This was an idea from one of our clients who suggested a lunch and learn would be a great way to just help navigate some of the complexity of using tech and hopefully create a video that can really serve your organizations going forward. So thank you for your time. I will circulate the video post the session, and over to you, Liam.
Cool. Thanks, Anna. First thing I want to draw everyone's attention to is the Q&A option for sharing questions. So we will be doing questions at the end, but if you're like me, you'll forget when you see something like, I want to ask about that. So pop your question in the question box, and those will funnel through to Anna and the team. Got a couple of the guys from our team here as well, ready to help out with some questions at the end, so that I don't suddenly expose my lack of technical depth when someone asks a curly question or an implementation question. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to get started. Now, the first thing I will say is it's not going to be death by PowerPoint, but I am using PowerPoint notes just to help structure the content as I move through it today. I don't want to miss anything or think of something that we thought of was a question may have been asked in advance, and we wanted to make sure we answer those. So today we're just focusing on the SharePoint basics. We're going to be looking at navigation, search, email integration, sync conflicts, and previous versions. So some of these you'll already know all about, and some of these will be new to you. Hopefully you get some value from different points as we go through. And as I said earlier, just pop your questions in the Q&A if you are not sure about something that I've covered off on. So the first thing to touch on with navigation is that the local folder, Windows Explorer on both Windows or Finder on a Mac, is managed by the OneDrive icon. So you'll be familiar with this tiny little cloud with a circle on it in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen on Windows, or in the top of the screen. Mine's opened offside there, or at the top of the screen on a Mac. That's the OneDrive application, and it's managing this synchronize effect between your SharePoint environment and your local computer. You can browse the folder structure. I'm just going to be doing it on Windows today, but you can browse the folder structure just like you would any other folder or a network drive or anything like that. So as you can see, I've got my folder structure across the top. I can click my little drop downs and browse around like I would. There's no surprises there. You can pin things to your favorites bar. I do want to highlight that there's a difference between your SharePoint environment, and you can see here at the top of my list, Liam, the Virtual IT Department Proprietary Limited, that's our SharePoint environment, and then Liam Personal, that's my OneDrive environment. So even though the OneDrive files and content live in the same big place that we would call SharePoint, it's referring just to my own content when I'm saying OneDrive. Confusingly, the app that manages the sync is called OneDrive. So it's helpful just to touch on some of those pieces. The icons here on the folder view are important to make note of and understand. So you can see this little green circle with white fill shows that it's available on my local computer at the moment. Little blue cloud shows that it's available in the cloud. It's not actually on my computer at the moment. And then I can right click and down in the options here, specify to always keep on this device. I get my little sync icon. So the swirly circles shows that it's synchronizing this file at the moment. If you're editing a file, it's pretty well going to be running that sync icon constantly. I should not have picked a Formag file for that first little piece there. It would be running constantly. And then of course, when you save and close, it will go to synchronized. I've specified to keep this file on my device permanently, and you can see that's changed to the same green circle, but now there's green fill instead of white fill. So any updates that happen, or if I try and save space on my machine by saying, hey, OneDrive, clear out all of the content that I'm not using, it will hang on to that file. It will also mean that if I'm in airplane mode, literally working on an airplane, or just in a bad reception, if I'm down a mine or something like that, as I know some of you might be from time to time, then that would be a useful utility for you. If you're using in the browser, there's a couple of different ways that you can open the browser up. If you're already in a location like this, you can use the Sorry, let me just go back up. I want to view this in the browser, so I can right click on the folder or file, go to my OneDrive, slide out and click View Online. I'm on a Windows 11 environment, which is what that context menu looks like. Windows 10 looks fairly similar, but some of those icons are in the context menu directly rather than in a slide out. So here I am looking online. You can see it looks very, very similar. I've got my breadcrumb trail along the top. I've got my files and folders. What you don't have right out of the gate are those icons, because there is no sync. There is no, is this available on my local computer? Because I'm looking at it online. Everything here is in the cloud. I am just jumping back to my notes to make sure I don't wander off. I have a bad habit of discussing things that seem interesting to me, but not necessarily cover off on the content that everyone will want to see. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit now because I'm in the web mode. Hopefully that still fits on everyone's screens okay. This was how to come in directly from your folder view. So you knew where you wanted to go and you do the right click view online and you've now gone straight into that view. But if you're just wanting to browse in directly, there's a couple of different ways to do it. If you're using Microsoft Edge, you can click the waffle button up here in the top right, click the SharePoint button, and that's going to load up your SharePoint environment. And you're going to be faced with this home page or this landing space. You get all your frequent sites right out of the gate. You get your recent on the left, you get favorites, etc. Anything that you've got permission to is going to show up in here. When you click in, depending on the configuration of your SharePoint environment, you might be thrown a little bit if you suddenly flip to this mode. So I've left this here because it might be relevant for some of you. This is the classic view. Some people prefer their SharePoint environment to look much more like a folder environment from Windows 2016 or 2012. And so that's what this environment is designed to replicate. If from here you click into the folders, then it will maintain this view. If your environment is set to maintain the modern workplace view, when you click on the left, so I'm going into our documents environment now, you'll see it flips back into that more modern look and feel. And from here, you can browse around like you would normally. I've mentioned that there's no sync icons and of course the folder tree. On the left, it's not quite a folder tree. It's a list of top level locations. And then as you browse in, you get the breadcrumb trail builds out along the top here, and that left-hand view to the different places that are either favorited or relevant for your organization will remain. Browsing through Teams is quite similar to the web. The only difference really is that you have download options and you can change the folder color. So if you want your folders to look a particular way, which of course some people might really enjoy that. That's a slide for if we get a question about it, so I'm going to skip right over that for now. Searching. If you're familiar with doing searching from within the folder view, you can search like you normally would. And all of your searching mechanisms will operate quite the same as they would normally have. So if you're used to searching by date or specifying a particular file extension, you can do all of that from within here. So I won't spend too much time there. If you are diving into I'm really struggling to find this content. I know it's here somewhere, but I just can't work it out. You probably want to use the web view. It's faster for one because it's got access to the computing power of Microsoft in the cloud, not just your local workstation. It's not operating off your local records and your computer's understanding. It's going in via that total SharePoint view, but it is still restricted to your permissions. So it's not going to turn up anything that it shouldn't. So I'm going to click on a search. Here's a search I prepared earlier. Actually, I just want to do one from here. So if I search for Liam, I'm in this folder and it's going to turn back some terms that are relevant to my search here. Now it looks quite exactly like it did before because all of these folders have my name in them. At the bottom of the screen, you've got expand search to all items in the site. And this is the same as in a folder search if you needed to expand it out to look at everything in this drive, for example. This search view is a little bit more powerful and gives you some better granularity. So you can implement some filters like what kind of a file are you wanting to look at in this particular search. So you might want to limit it to a particular file by clicking. You might want to change when do I want to search by, and you can have some of these prefabricated, last week, last month, etc. And you can specify a particular time. Like I worked on that in February. I know I did because I was preparing it for the board report or whatever it was. Then that can work fine as well. You've also got some options up here in the search bar, and some of the simple things that make a big difference is using the talking mark. So if I'm looking for Liam Test, This is now going to search for this exact match. It's only going to bring back something that says Liam test. If I want to find something that says Liam and then anything after that, I can put a wildcard or a star at the end of it. If I want to find then things that have Liam in it and then anything else, and I want it also to have something to do with training, then I can put plus training on the end. And equally, I can say I don't want it to include training, so I can put a minus and say exclude the training content. And you're seeing there that the content is changing as we're conducting that search. Those couple of little modifiers to your search are really simple things that you can add, and they're reasonably easy to remember and build up some memory around if you're using them regularly, and that will help you to get more quickly to target the information. As you will quickly find out once you're searching an entire SharePoint environment, there's a lot of information obviously in there, and you want to make sure that you're getting as quickly as you can to the things that are relevant for you. Skipping along now to email integration. I want to use this as well in terms of just to discuss sharing. So sharing is a more effective way to move your content around. So rather than attaching a Word document to an email and saying, hey, Anna, have a look at this Word document. What do you think? Please update with track changes on. You would send her a link. Hey, Anna, here's the document I'm working on. When she follows that link, she's now working in the same file that you've got. And you avoid that scenario where you have to merge those changes. But how do you get that link and how do you get the right link? Now, whether you do this via the web view and using the right click, or whether you do it via the folder view, it's quite similar. So I'll just do it from one. You've got two really common options here. Copy link will do whatever your organization's default is. So if your organization's default is share with people within the company, it will think about it for a moment and then pop up a window saying, here's the link, and it's copied to your clipboard. You can paste that straight into an email. If you want to select something a little bit different, then you can select the top option, and from there you've got the settings cog, and the four options for sharing include share with anyone, share with people in the organization that you're a part of, share with people with existing access. You can see that's selected for us because that's our default, and share with people you choose. Sharing with people with access is a safe thing. You know that you're not going to break the permissions. It's set up thoughtfully, and so you'll be able to maintain those. By clicking the share with anyone option, literally anyone with that link will be able to gain access to that file and do whatever you allow them to do. Now, Google isn't crawling these links, so you're not about to become web searchable. Nevertheless, that link can be shared on, and it remains if you just leave it with some of the default settings. So you want to think about, do I want these people to edit, to view, or to suggest changes or review, which is a good option, that middle option, if you're collaborating with someone else or working outside the organization. You want to think about how long until I want this link to automatically expire. So you don't have to remember, I've got to go and kill that publicly shared link. Our organization's default is to destroy all public links after 30 days, which may prove inconvenient if you're ongoingly discussing something with somebody, but it's pretty quick to create a new link if you need to. We would always encourage you to set a password. So you can provide that password via a burn link or SMS or some kind of alternate means, which means you're just partnering that anyone can access this with a little bit of protection. There are scenarios where you wouldn't want that. Potentially you're making a document available for download via some marketing collateral that you're publishing at the moment. And then of course you can block download, and this will mean that they can't take the file, the person you're sharing with, outside of your organization. So they can go to the Word document and they can jump in there and make some changes with you, which is great, but they can't download a copy and then email it to others in their organization. So you know in that sense sort of where that document is going to. People within the organization is everyone else in the organization. It's pretty much what it says on the box. Again, you can choose the three options for edit, review, and view. And again, you can block download if you want to force people to use the web browser. People in your organization may not thank you for forcing them to use the web browser, but nevertheless, it can be a good option to protect the document. People with existing access we've already discussed, and then people we choose. And again, you've got the options for what kind of permissions, whether you want them to block or not. I'm going to leave it on this option for now and hit apply. This is where you would need to put in the name of somebody. So I can start typing in an email address. In this case, I've got Anna. I can type a message in here. Here's the link. I would send her a more thoughtful message. Then if I click send, it's going to alert Anna via email with a link, or I can copy the link and paste that into an email. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that link now. I use the web version of Outlook. So I'm going to come up into my web browser, click new email. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, and I would, normal email things. So stuff that you will all already have seen. When I paste the link, it's going to try and put in a meaningful name. So you saw it there briefly show the full name and then shorten that down. And that's it doing its best attempt. If it can't work out the file name, it won't do that, in which case you want to use the link option from the browser, or you might choose to use the Control K or Command K hotkey to create an editable link. Now I can email this off to Anna, she can click that link, and because she's been given specific permissions, she'll be able to jump into that file. There's some other ways that you can do that though, which are a little bit easier. So if I close that edit view, if I am working with people in the organization, which is the most common by far, I can just drag the file over the email. And in the web view here, I get a upload to OneDrive and share link, or I can attach as a file. So if I am sending the file outside of the organization, for example, it might be a scenario where I do want to send something, perhaps it's a finished piece of work, a PDF or a presentation. I'll drop it on the right-hand side and it will attach as a file. And you can see now it's in the top of the email a little bit more traditionally. And of course, Microsoft is reminding me, hey, Liam, you don't actually have to do this. You could upload it to OneDrive. I'm going to go ahead and ignore that option because of the purposes of the demonstration. We've spoken about drag and drop. Saving from email is the other thing, and then we want to have a quick look at comments. So if somebody has sent you a file and you're saying, hey, our organization's policy is we use the collaborative format, we don't send files around, so I'm going to do the hard work, I'll save this file for that person, and then I'm going to share the link back to them. Within the file here, you got the drop-down menu. You can preview it, obviously. You can edit in browser and you can edit in the app. Now, amazingly, this little bit of technology, anyone who's used Office for more than 5 years will remember at some point having edited a document, hitting save and close, and then realizing they edited the one out of the email and where have my changes gone? Now, they were buried deep in a temp folder. You can find them. But now if you do edit in browser or edit in app and hit save, it actually updates the file in email, which is kind of amazing and also not always what you would want. Nevertheless, it is in there. You can save to OneDrive directly or hit download. Download will work like you would expect. It puts it in your download location, and then you can drag and drop or move it. If you hit save to OneDrive, you're going to get a little pop-up. I've saved this file to OneDrive, and you can click the down button again and view in OneDrive. At this point, it's landed in your personal OneDrive. And so a really good next step is to click on the file name on the top, click the little move arrow, and then browse. Where should I put this file so that it can be accessible and editable by the organization as a whole, rather than just stuck in my OneDrive. Seeing as we've got this file open here now, we can see, oh no, I won't do it here. I nearly fell into that trap of just getting distracted. So I'll jump back into my demo folder locally. I've got document 1 and I've got document 2 here. If I open up document 1 and I'm going to work collaboratively, so if Anna also had the document open, I would see that she was in this file at the same time as me. I don't need to do that though. I am going to say this date needs to be reviewed. It was a good idea, but it's now in the past. I can right click on that date option, click new comment, and I need to tag or do an @ mention. So I type @ and I can start typing the name via email of literally any person, but they may bump into permissions trying to access the file. So the person usually in your organization that you're working with, type in their name. That gives me an option. I've selected that and say, hi Anna, can you check this date, please? Now I can tick to assign this as a task to Anna, which depending on what you're using in terms of task management, it may show up in her Microsoft task list. For now, I'm just going to leave it as a comment and hit post. That has now sent an email to Anna. Also, when Anna opens this document, if she clicks on comments, she's going to see a list of the things that are pertaining to her down the right-hand side of the page, which is a really convenient way for her to interact with the file. She can reply. Now, if she does reply, that's great on here. It's not going to notify me though. She would need to use the @ mention. @Liam, the new date should be the 13th or whatever needs to go in there. that email is going to turn up in your Outlook. So let's head across. Here's a link I prepared earlier. So you get an email, you get the name of the document at the top, someone's mentioned you. In this case, I mentioned it to myself. I was having a lovely discussion with myself yesterday afternoon. I can click Go to Comment, which will open up a web editing view, and I can look at that piece of information. I might be wanting to edit the document. If it's just looking for a reply from me, I can reply via comment. I'm going to do this later. And if I hit insert, the magic of Microsoft is now publishing that. You can see the conversation chain has built out now. So that record is in your email so that you can see that play from multiple places. And of course, if you do go to the comment, it will validate the file. It's doing its usual security trick, and then it's going to open up the file again. And we can see in here, I've got dark mode on, so it's a little bit dark, but now we've got the I'm going to do this later has popped up in here, but of course I can also add in whatever extra content was necessary to be used in there. Now, let me just check my notes and make sure, not sure whether it is here or whether it's in previous versions. I think it is. So I'm just going to kick forwards. One of the things that eventually you will bump into is a sync conflict. At some point in time, you will try to open up or you'll work on a document. That document will be quite large, or multiple people will be working on it in just the right way at just the wrong time to cause Microsoft to get itself in a tangle. What it's doing in the background to coordinate all of these files is quite amazing, and so that it sometimes gets stuck is not surprising. If that happens, you will get a little red X, or a red circle with a white X, over your OneDrive icon in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Now, this I have to show via screenshots because I don't have any sync conflicts today. And so, again, here's one I prepared earlier. So you can see OneDrive has a problem. We can resolve the conflict by clicking on that icon. I get a little pop-up that shows me all my OneDrive recent sync history, and it says there is a sync issue in OneDrive. So I click on that little icon. That drops into a new view and shows me what are the things that have a sync issue at the moment. And you may have multiple files. It's unlikely, but you might. But you can click on the Resolve button and you will get another pop-up that says Open in Office to merge changes. And it will then open that document inside of Microsoft, whether it's a Word or Excel or PowerPoint or whatever you're using, and it will merge the changes that have gotten into a conflict. It is a very rare exception where it can't find its way through and unravel the mystery. If that does happen, of course, you can log a support ticket and we can try to help you through with that. It may also be that you want to look at some previous versions and unravel that mystery yourself, but we'll talk about previous versions next. Just by opening the file and allowing it to run for a few minutes and then closing the file, you've done your part. You don't need to read through or find conflicts or choose anything. It's just then going to work on merging those changes for you. So that's quite a simple one. Nevertheless, if you don't know that that little red X is important, you could be carrying on creating sync conflicts all over the place. And people might say, I can't see that change you did, or that formula is not working right, or whatever it might be. So do watch out for that one. The last one I wanted to touch on in terms of the formalized training part is previous versions. This is, again, a really great feature for the humans who are using the technology, because it is frustrating when you make a change or someone else makes a change to your document and you didn't want that change to be made, or you can't quite remember what it was beforehand. Now, both the advantage and challenge of running a OneDrive environment is, sorry, I've opened Outlook and I meant to open Word. You can see up here in the top left, autosave is on by default. It's saving as I type, which may prove to be a little bit risky, and you may not want to do that. You may not realize that was happening, or most commonly you open a template, start making changes, and you planned on doing a save as, and you realize I've written over the template. So a great way to unravel that one is to just right click on the document again, OneDrive version history, and you get a nice little pop-up explaining, here's all of the versions that are currently available for this document. So here's the change we made 2 minutes ago by Anna, 4 minutes ago by me, 20 hours ago, a couple of weeks ago. For each of these options, you've got an ellipsis and you can click Restore, View Online, and Delete. So for one of these options, if I click Restore, I'm going to write straight over the document. The version is now going to be destroyed as it is today, and it's going to go back to that point in time, which if you are going to do that, obviously you want to be sure that that's what you wanted. You might want to have made a change or done your save as or whatever it might be. You might want to do a view online, and you can jump in and, I mean, unexcitingly, this document hasn't changed very much, even though there has been a few letters added here and there. So you can jump in and grab the version. You can look at the changes. You might download a fresh copy or do a save as from this point and move forward again. The other thing that can happen is if you delete a file. So I'm going to go ahead and delete document number 2. It's now gone. Because it's a SharePoint document, it's not going to go into my recycle bin. Depending on your settings, you might get a pop-up saying this is going to get permanently deleted. So what do you do if you've deleted something, or if potentially more likely somebody has deleted something for you? Let me just browse through to the folder and make sure that it has in fact gone from the cloud. So even though it's gone from my local machine, it does need to synchronize that change up to SharePoint. So we can see here the document is still present, which means it is still syncing. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to shortcut that process and delete it. And again, things that are deleted from the web view, there is no access to a recycle bin on your machine, so those deletions are made immediately. Now, of course, you can call up the IT department. We can restore it from backup for you, and that would be one option. Or you can access the recycle bin here in SharePoint. So if I click into my recycle bin now, it's going to open up a new view, and I'm going to get all of these different things into my recovery perspective. So from here, I can find whatever it was that I'm interested in and click on that document. So here's my document 2, hit restore, go back to my view. And here is document 2 again, ready for me to jump in and get working on. So that one, just a quick one as well. And all of that available, the beauty of it is a person using their environment can just go ahead and get that work done. And for a lot of admin or knowledge workers, this is pretty regular stuff, the need to undelete or revert a change. So you don't need to escalate a ticket for that. You can just get on and get that result that you need. And of course, I would encourage you to share this knowledge with anyone using the environment. So now that I've hammered away at it long enough, I want to kick back over to you, Anna, if there's any questions that have come through, and answer those for the excited viewers at home.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Liam. We have a question here of how long do files stay in the recycling folder?
Good question. Have you already discussed with Tim and Lockie who might field some of these questions, or do you want me just to jump in?
Oh, I get all the power. Lockie, why don't you have something to say about this one? Or not? Nope, no, here we go. All good.
So hi, my understanding is it's 28 days, although that can be changed. So similar to email items, it's usually 28 days that where things in the recycle bin are retained for. Although that can change from site to site, and then also that setting can differ within your personal OneDrive as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Lockie. We did have another quick point that Tim Leeskew mentioned worth touching on, and that was around the shortcut and syncing it to SharePoint. Did you want to quickly chime in about that one?
Yes, basically, if you're syncing SharePoint library, document libraries, and not just OneDrive alone, and that would be most of you would be syncing your SharePoint libraries, do not use the add shortcut to OneDrive feature from the cloud, because that can interfere with the syncing and stop syncing completely of a document library. And that's due to the fact that it has potential to create circularities in the syncing. So I would encourage you to avoid deliberately or inadvertently adding a shortcut. If you notice that a shortcut has appeared in your OneDrive and you don't know where it came from, suggest you go into your OneDrive in the cloud view and remove it from there.
Cool, thanks, Tim. So just for those who are wondering, when you're in the cloud view of SharePoint, this is the sync button that Tim's referring to, which is the right way to get a folder showing up on your local, and the add shortcut to OneDrive is the wrong way, unfortunately, and if it's not visible, it'll be again hiding under the ellipsis here. Thanks, Tim.
Awesome. We have another question, and that was, can SharePoint be used as a database, and what internet browsers are supported by SharePoint?
Lockie?
Anyone feeling excited to answer that one? Lockie?
Yeah, I can answer that one. So yeah, most browsers are supported, all the very common browsers. I'd encourage you that if you do have an issue with certain features showing up within the web browser that you're using, just make sure that the browser's up to date, and maybe stick with the well-known ones, Edge, Chrome, those sorts of ones, Firefox. So, and then as far as the database, using SharePoint as database, it does have databasing options, although there are a little bit, that starts going down the rabbit hole at that point. It's quite complex, but yeah, there are, you can create database lists and things like that within SharePoint.
Awesome. Thank you, Lockie. We've got a question here from Jeff around the metadata on documents. Is there a way of showing that in the local folders? Docs do not seem to show in the same order as in the web version. So, Tim, do you have any insight into that one for us?
No. The thing to be aware of is that the SharePoint storage is completely different from how it's stored in File Explorer, and so you're only getting a subset of that metadata. SharePoint itself actually stores all the files as database entries and not a normal file structure, so that's why there's that discrepancy. So what you see in File Explorer, unfortunately, is all that you get. Hope that answers the question.
No, that's good. Thank you very much, Tim. Awesome. Are there any other questions that you guys would like to see answered while you've got us attentive to your every SharePoint wish? No? Awesome. Well, I hope you've all found this a really informative time. I'll turn my camera back on just so you can see my smiling face once more, but thank you for taking the time to join us. We're thinking of doing these more regularly around all kinds of topics next year, so I will be sending out communication to kind of get a pulse as to what would be a good idea for that. And I'll also, as I mentioned, be circulating this video for your staff later today. So have a fabulous Wednesday. Thank you for coming, and we will no doubt talk soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anna.